Hello everybody, Matt George here on my way home from the Sports 1140 KHTK studios. Just wrapped up another week of The Drive from 6 to 9 a.m. If you live in Sacramento or locally in the Sacramento radio market, you can catch that on AM 1140. If you're not in the market, you can still listen to the show either live or after the show happens on our KHTK website. You can catch the podcast there, all of our interviews. Had some great interviews today. We had USA Today's Sam Amick on, Darren Collison of the Sacramento Kings, Grant Napier joined us live in studio, also Chris Granger, the president of the Sacramento Kings. So it really was a great day for guests, a great week of shows. I highly encourage you, if you missed any of them from now on or going back, be sure to go and check those out because they're certainly great stuff to listen to in there. Wanted to do another car cast. It's been a little bit of a while, or a car podcast, car talk, whatever we're calling it. And I wanted to talk about something that was brought up on the show a couple days ago, and it has to do with potential rule changes coming to the MLB, to Major League Baseball. Now, I am of the millennial younger generation to which baseball feels that it needs to change its rules and adapt to appeal to. And I can understand, like any business, why MLB or the NBA or the NFL or what have you would want to adapt their product to currently what's hot or what's trending. And I mean, that's just good business. You see that everywhere, not just in professional sports or in that industry. However, I think there is overdoing it, and there is targeting the younger audience, or trying to adapt almost too much to where you lose the foundation, or you lose or start to lose the bread and butter of what made your product what it is in the first place. And specifically with the MLB, that you're talking about the purity of the game. Now, there are a bunch of MLB purists. A lot of them are usually from ages 40 and up, just the ones that like the game, how it was intended to be, with mistakes, with none of the challenges that you have now with human umpires that make the wrong calls every now and then. Just keep the game, let it remain the way it's been for the past 100 plus years, and let it remain baseball. That's what it is. MLB seems to feel the need constantly to try and adapt their rules and speed up the game, while also striving to make sure that the majority, if not all, of their calls are as accurate and correct as possible. And I can understand both sides, especially the calls. I mean, you don't want a game, or you don't want things to happen like, for example, what happened with Jim Joyce, the umpire in Detroit, costing, I can't remember the pitcher's name, but that young pitcher chance at a no-hitter by calling a runner that was out at first. He called him safe and blew that no-hitter. You don't want calls like that to happen, but that's part of baseball, and they do happen. Calls are missed all the time. It's just part of the game. That's why you also have an umpire with a ball in strike zone. How many pitches outside of the zone are called strikes, and how many pitches on the corner that are strikes are called balls? That's just part of the game. The two contradict each other, really, trying to speed up the game but trying to get all the calls right, because you implemented this new challenge system, which baseball purists will argue it's bad for the game. I personally don't mind it, because I think it's good to give at least some of that power to managers to be able to look at a play. And then I like how they handle it in their replay center in New York. I appreciate the definitive rule that there has to be clear evidence to the contrary of what the call was in order to have it overturned. Sometimes that there's not, or the loophole that is overused or used not in the right way, per se, with I mean, you look at a bang play at first base and it looks pretty clear like he got him, but it's not 100% definitive, or there's not 100% evidence of the contrary, so they'll actually leave the call as it is. You see that from time to time, but in the grand scheme of things, I think the challenge rule has actually been a good thing for baseball, and something that they've done well to implement. However, it has slowed down the game, so now they're adding pitching clocks, and now they're adding just less time in between pitches. They're not allowing pitchers or batters to take as much time stepping out of the box or taking their time before their pitches. I mean, you see the clock that they have now implemented in every stadium of a countdown of in between innings. So in that sense, they are trying to speed up the game, but they're really trying to put a clock on a game that has been notoriously known and respected and beloved for not having a clock. And anyone who goes to a baseball game, they buy tickets, they know they could be spending 2 hours at the ballpark, or they could be spending 10. I mean, I've been to plenty of games that were a pitcher's duel that were like 3 total hits, a 1-0 finish, ended in 9 innings. And I showed up to the ballpark at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Game started at noon, and I was heading home at 2. I've seen those games. I've also been to games that have lasted 14, 15 innings. All of them I enjoy, because that's just a different aspect of the game. And baseball purists, I know a lot of them would agree with me in that sense. However, now the new rules they want to talk about and they want to implement are in extra innings. And how many games have we seen, especially last season, extra inning games that went not just 12, 13, but even 14 and beyond. And night games, especially on weeknights with day games the next day, I can certainly see how that's a problem. They want to implement a rule that I've seen in college where extra innings begin with a runner on second base. So it heightens the drama, more opportunities to score. But again, baseball purists are against it. And I've argued and gone back and forth with myself with this, because I understand how that could speed up the game and how we could have a result quicker. And it's balanced. Every team gets that runner to start their inning. So it's not like it's unfair to any side. But I don't know. It just takes something away, speeds something up, or it's almost like a handicap per se. And whether that rule ends up being used or not, they're trying it out in minor leagues and in rookie ball, I believe is what they're doing. They're trying it out this season. Whether it works or not, or it ends up being implemented into the rule book, I don't know if one, if it's necessary, and two, if the reason behind it is right. You know, you talk a lot about them wanting to speed up the game and adapt their product to the latest trends, but maybe it seems almost like selling out or overdoing it in a sense, and I don't know how to explain that as clear as I may want to, other than basically just saying baseball is known for being different, and it's known for being like we said, there's no clock involved, so you can't really label it down to a pattern. In most sports, you can label it down to a pattern, especially basketball. It's a game of runs. So team starts out good, other team comes back. Now, it doesn't happen every time, but the majority of the time you'll have one team A starts out on a run, team B goes on a run to catch up, it goes back and forth, team A pulls away, and then team B either comes back and steals the game, makes it close and steals the game, or they completely go on this crazy run and end up taking the game out from under team A. That happens a lot in basketball. That's kind of the consistent pattern we're seeing. And in the NFL, you can kind of develop a pattern itself. Like, for example, the Super Bowl. Even if people didn't predict that the New England Patriots were going to come back and win that game, it was pretty safe to assume that they were going to come back and at least make it a game, or at least cut it down to within a touchdown or even 10 points. That's just how the NFL works. That's just how the game is played. It's a game of runs. It goes back and forth. Baseball, you just don't know on any given day, depending upon what pitchers are pitching, what batters, how well they're hitting, how many base runners are on, the weather, the time, the fatigue, the teams they're playing. It can be different, and I think that's one of the blessings and one of the joys of baseball that you risk getting rid of with all of these rule changes. So I'm curious what you guys think. This went a little bit longer than I intended to, and I don't know if all my thoughts on this and all my takes came out as clear as I wanted to, but I think it's an interesting discussion to have, and I think baseball and the MLB needs to really decide what. I don't think they should be towing the line as much as they are anymore. They need to pick a side of, do we want to adapt our game to try and get it up to the business and the ratings of the sports juggernaut, the NFL, and then even basketball? Or do we want to stick to our roots of what made us what we are? And I mean, I could spend another 10 minutes talking about the argument that the game isn't cool or isn't fun to young men and isn't fun to watch for the younger generation. I think that's absolute poppycock, because depending upon where you live, baseball is played all over the place. I mean, I live in the Roseville, Rockland, Greater Sacramento area, and this is major baseball town, especially Little League, all the travel ball teams that play through here. Baseball is a huge sport on the West Coast. I know it's huge in different states and different areas as well. So to call it not fun to the younger generation, I think is naive. But I don't want to go too far into that. So I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know, do you like baseball the way it is, or do you like these rule changes? Do you think they're necessary? I definitely want to hear from you. But for right now, my name is Matt George. Thank you for listening and watching Card Talk here. And let's see what conversation you guys spark up and what direction baseball is going to head in. Have a good one, guys.